We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Woyaya, 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 we are Woyaya, 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 we are Woyaya, Woyaya.
Welcome to the Morristown Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We are a spiritually alive, inclusive, and justice-centered, multi-generational community. We're so glad you're here. We have a few announcements to share. First, today at 12:30, it's our annual meeting on Zoom. If you are a member of our fellowship, please make every effort to attend. Second, next weekend, Sunday, June 13th, from 1 to 3 p.m., we are hosting an in-person ice cream social and gathering at Lewis Morris Park. Everyone is invited, and we will also be hosting our bridging ritual for our high school seniors and our honorary bridger, Charles Laughlin, who will complete his internship this month. But don't worry, he's staying on as a summer preacher in July and August. Third, please join our annual support drive, Weaving the Strands of Community, and help us to fund our worship, religious education, caring ministries, justice ministries, and community building. We are 87% of the way to our goal of $505,000 in order to have a fully funded budget for July 2021 through June 2022. Your pledge will make a difference. Please go to www.muf.org/annual-pledge and join the campaign. Last, our offering today will be split 50-50 between our fellowship and Black Lives of UU, which is expanding the power and capacity of Black UUs within our faith, providing support, information, and resources for Black Unitarian Universalists, and engaging in justice making and liberation through our faith. Let us open our worship by affirming. It is good to be. It is good to be here. It is so good to be here together.
I'm honored this morning to light our chalice using the words from Rebecca Savage. We light our flaming chalice as a beloved people united in love and thirsting for restorative justice. May it melt away the tethers that uphold whiteness in our midst. May it spark in us a spirit of humility. May it ignite us in radical love that transforms our energy into purposeful action. This is a chalice of audacious hope. This chalice shines a light on our shared past, signaling our intention to listen deeply, reflect wisely, and move boldly toward our highest ideals.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, this world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way.
Today's story for all ages is Let's Talk About Race by Julius Lester, illustrated by Karen Barber. I am a story. So are you. So is everyone. My story begins the same way yours does. I was born on... Take me for example. I was born on January 27th, 1939 in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm kind of old, huh? How does your story begin? Many people and many events are part of my story, and yours too. The name of our parents and where they were born, whether or not we have brothers and or sisters. I had a brother who was 9 years older than me, but he is dead. What kind of work our parents do, or did. My father was a minister. My mother was a housewife. My story and yours have many elements, such as favorite food. Mine is fish. Hobbies. I like to do crossword puzzles, take photographs, and cook. Favorite color. Red, or maybe green. But I like orange and purple too. I think my favorite color is all of them. Religion. I'm Jewish. Nationality. I'm from the United States. Favorite time of day. Night. Oh, there's something else that is part of my story. It's part of yours, too. That's what race we are. I'm black. What race are you? Just as I am a story and you are a story and countries tell stories about themselves, race is a story too. Whether you're black like me or Asian, Hispanic or white, each race has a story about itself. And that story is almost always the same. My race is better than your race. Some stories are true, some are not. Those who say, my race is better than your race, are telling a story that is not true. Why would some people say their race is better than another? Because they feel bad about themselves. Because they are afraid. Because. But there are other ways all of us, even me, even you, think we are better than others. I'm better than you because I live in. I'm better than you because I go to school. I'm better than you because I'm a boy. I'm better than you because I'm a girl. I'm better than you because my dad or mom makes more money than your dad or mom. I'm better than you because I'm white. I'm better than you because I'm black. I'm better than you because I'm Hispanic. I'm better than you because I'm Asian. None of these stories are true, are they? I want to tell a true story, but I need your help. Here's what I want you to do. Take your fingers and press them softly against your skin right below your eyes. Be careful and don't poke yourself in the eye. Okay, now, press gently until you feel the hard bone right beneath the surface. Now, if your mom, dad, brother, sister, or a friend is close by, ask them if you can touch them. If they say okay, touch your fingers and press softly at the same place beneath their eyes. Press gently until you feel the hard bones right beneath the skin. Now press someplace else on your body, or on your arm, chest, head. Press anywhere until you feel the hard bones beneath your skin. Beneath everyone's skin are the same hard bones. If you were to go outside without your skin on and without your hair on your head, on the next page, you'll see what you would look like. But you want to know something? If I went outside without my skin, my mustache, and the hair on my head, what little I have left, I would look just like you, and you would look just like me. Just suppose one day everyone in the whole world decided to take off all our clothes and all our skin and all our hair, then we would do what we do normally every day. Go to school, go to work, play, and shop. Everything would be normal except we would look at each other and couldn't tell who was a man, who was a woman, who was white, black, Hispanic, or Asian. Which story shall we believe? That one that says, my race is better than yours? Or the one we just discovered for ourselves? Beneath our skin, I look like you, and you look like me. And she looks like her and him, and he looks like him and her, and we look like them, and they look like us. When I look at you, which story do I see? Do I see only the color of your skin, the shape of your eyes, the texture of your hair? Do I look at you and think I know your story when I don't even know your name? Or do I look at you and wonder, what's your name? When were you born? Where were you born? Where do you live? What do you like? What don't you like? Gee, maybe we like and dislike some of the same things. Your race is not all that you are. My race is not all that I am. Yes, I am black, but I am also a man. I am of medium height. I have a deep voice and a loud laugh. I love to laugh. Do you? I live in a big house in the woods in a small town. I like pancakes and macaroni and cheese and I am so many things besides my race. To know my story, you have to put together everything I am. Like, I bet you didn't know I have asthma. Beneath the skin, we all look alike, you and me. I'll take off my skin. Will you take off yours?
when I can't do nothing else. Sometimes I cry. Sometimes I cry when I can't do nothing else.
Our readings this morning are the 6 principles of Unitarian Universalism as they were written and adopted at the time of merger in 1961, followed by the 7 principles as they were rewritten and adopted in 1985. Listen carefully for what changes. Charles will read the 6, and then Stearns will read the 7.
The 6 Principles, 1961. The members of the Unitarian Universalist Association, dedicated to the principles of a free faith, unite in seeking 1. To strengthen one another in a free and disciplined search for truth as the foundation of our religious fellowship. 2. To cherish and spread the universal truths taught by the great prophets and teachers of humanity in every age and tradition, immemorially summarized in the Judeo-Christian heritage as love to God and love to man. 3. To affirm, defend, and promote the supreme worth of every human personality, the dignity of man, and the use of the democratic method in human relationships. 4. To implement our vision of one world by striving for a world community founded on ideals of brotherhood, justice, and peace. 5. To serve the needs of member churches and fellowships, to organize new churches and fellowships, and to extend and strengthen liberal religion. 6. To encourage cooperation with men of goodwill in every land.
We, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part.
Ours is a covenantal rather than a creedal faith. This means that we are bound together not by a particular set of beliefs, but rather by a particular set of promises. We call the current expression of our covenant the 7 principles, which are theologically grounded ethical promises about how to be in right relations with one another, with humanity, with all beings, and with our earth. Let's take the first principle as an example. We covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. It is theologically grounded in a rejection of the doctrine of original sin. Each child is born worthy of love and security and opportunity. That's why we don't have baptisms, because that ritual was originally connected to washing away sin and being reborn. We believe that children are born worthy from the get-go. We hold a ritual of dedication, which is not to bring about a change in the child, but rather a change in the community who promises to dedicate themselves to raising that child. Our first principle is also connected to the theological assertions that each one of us has a likeness to God, or a spark of the divine, or the gifts of reason and the potential to do good. Our first principle also has ethical implications. If we are guided by a principle of the inherent worth and dignity of every person, what will we believe about the rights of immigrants, prisoners, and poor people? We may believe that people have a right to seek work, to support their families, even if it means crossing borders. We may believe that certain punishments are inhumane and wrong for anyone to be subjected to, no matter their crime. We may believe that access to education and healthcare are human rights, and that no one should be separated from the opportunity to learn or to receive life-saving medical care. I say we may believe because our principles are guiding frameworks. They do not give us specific answers to matters of policy. As a lifelong UU and a minister, I have witnessed many times to a continuum of understandings as to how to interpret what upholding a particular principle means in terms of how to act or how to vote. Our principles are both practical and aspirational. They guide our behaviors and actions. We aim to fulfill these promises, and we inevitably fall short from time to time. In our seventh principle, we covenant to affirm and promote respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. While I strive to be mindful about my impact on the environment, there are times I have chosen convenience over care for the earth. But just having the guiding presence of this principle in my life makes a difference. Each year I learn more about how I can live from an awareness of our interdependent nature and the realization that our fates, the fate of all humanity and all beings on earth, are intertwined. That brings me to the next point about our principles. They are both individual and communal. In many ways, I can't fulfill any of our principles completely on my own. The wider we of our congregation and of Unitarian Universalists around the country and our partners in the wider world are often required to enable them to be realized fully. Respecting the interdependent web has implications about how many fossil fuels we consume, which involves my personal choices at home, what we choose for our house of worship, and what we choose to advocate for and with whom we are in solidarity in the wider world. What it means to promote respect for the web of all existence has also changed over the decades as we have learned more about the science of global warming and the issues of climate justice and who is bearing a disproportionate burden. The answer we have learned is all too often Black people, Indigenous people, people of color, and poor people. What our principles ask of us to do changes depending upon the pressing issues of the day. Our fifth principle is about promoting democracy. but the health of our democracy in congregations and in our country is threatened by different things at different times. It is wise that we re-examine our principles, purposes, and sources in every generation. Over time, we will find that certain language in our principles no longer works with contemporary understandings, or that they are silent about theologically grounded and ethically relevant topics of the day. The 1961 fourth principle and the 1985 sixth principle are very similar, but also include change, significant change. In 1961, the principle read, quote, "To implement our vision of one world by striving for a world community founded on ideals of brotherhood, justice, and peace." While I'm sure that was a moving sentiment in 1961 and is still moving today, the language smacks of a sense of superiority and supremacy that gets in the way. That UUs would imagine it our role to implement our vision of one world, this language seems to impose on others and doesn't leave room for an awareness of multiculturalism. Also, the use of brotherhood isn't inclusive and is patriarchal. In 1985, the principle was updated and now reads, "The goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all." Today, we are asking ourselves whether we are missing something critical in our principles without clearly specifying our commitment to dismantle racism and other oppressions and to build the beloved community. There is no doubt about it. This is the theologically grounded and ethically relevant topic of our times. There is a grassroots movement amongst UUs that was started in our Central East region by Paula Cole-Jones and Bruce Pollock Johnson. It is called the Eighth Principle Project. Here are the words penned by Paula and Bruce, proposing a new addition, an eighth principle. We, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote, journeying toward spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. As of yesterday, there are 66 congregations and institutions which have adopted this principle. We have it on our agenda to vote on whether or not to adopt it for our community at our annual meeting today. I urge all voting members to attend. The eighth principle has come up in my sermons, in newsletter columns, at coffee hour, in adult learning opportunities, and in our denomination's magazine, the UU World, on social media, and at general assemblies over the last 4 years with increasing frequency. I especially want to lift up the work of Judy Romano and our Eighth Principle Task Force this year to raise awareness of this proposal and to invite our members and friends into learning opportunities to deepen and grow in our commitments and skills around anti-racism and inclusion. The Eighth Principle Project and Learning Communities also comes on the heels of our collective engagement with the Movement for Black Lives in New Jersey and all around the country, ever since the cry for justice rose up in the wake of the death of the teenager Trayvon Martin. What was he guilty of? Walking and wearing a hoodie while Black. the Unitarian Universalist Association has activated an Article 2 commission specifically to explore the question of this eighth principle and how it may infuse a renewed expression of our covenant. Article 2 of our UUA's bylaws includes the 7 principles, the 6 sources, and our purposes. While the eighth principle may be new, it is theologically grounded in our roots. Our Universalist forebears spoke of creating a kingdom of heaven, which had a dual meaning: the place that we were all destined to go when we die, and the kingdom of heaven on earth, the place we hope to build in the here and now, a peaceful, equitable, and just reality from which no one is excluded. Since the 1960s, Unitarian Universalists have also called this the beloved community. Inspired by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's use of this phrase and his clarion call to racial justice, a vision of inclusion, and the destiny religious people are working toward. Placing the beloved community in our principles asserts this work as part of our spiritual practices and our ethical commitments. Dismantling racism and other oppressions is the relevant ethical issue of our time. UU Faith Action New Jersey, our social justice and advocacy arm of our faith in this state, has even passed a statement asserting that racism is the pervasive evil that undergirds the disparities and the devastation involved in all the issues we seek to change, such as criminal justice, environmental justice, immigrant justice, and reproductive justice. While the eighth principle is about collective liberation and inclusion more broadly, it is important that we are clear in 2021 that we seek to be and become active anti-racists. We are a multiracial faith, yet the majority of UUs are white. Unitarian Universalism's roots go back to the beginnings of Europeans landing on the shores of the United States. Our history is linked to the genocide and exploitation of Native Americans and the killing and profiting off of Black bodies due to slavery, then Jim Crow, and now mass incarceration. We must face our history fully. Unitarians were on both sides of abolition. We also had a very strong commitment to show up in the civil rights era. White supremacy has reared its ugliness and roared right up to the Capitol steps in our time. We must once again show up strongly in the struggle for liberation today. While our Black Lives Matter flag on our gates proclaims where we stand, it is not enough. The deepest culture change and the most sacred commitment for Unitarian Universalists comes from our guiding principles. This shift is about moving from being a liberal religion, a progressive stance for the 1960s and 1980s and 1990s, to a religion committed to a liberating love, the progressive stance for now. Passing the eighth principle means that we will raise our children to be equipped to be anti-racists, to practice inclusion and accountability, and to understand that while we celebrate individuality, too much focus on individualism was a form of idolatry that fueled an illusion of separateness. A more mature Unitarian Universalism puts the well-being of those on the margins and a vision of the beloved community at its center. A word about wordsmithing. We are being asked to pass the eighth principle as it is and not to engage in wordsmithing right now. Passing the eighth principle means we agree with this direction and support the work of the Article 2 Commission to infuse a new expression of the principles with sentiments of the eighth principle guiding that work. The wording may well change before it ultimately goes to a vote at General Assembly a couple of years from now, and the eighth principle might become a preamble to the seven principles or something else. It will not benefit the Commission to have 100 different versions. However, having said that, if you have thoughts or ideas, do share these with Judy Romano or with me and our eighth principle task force. We will pass it along to the national eighth principle learning community. Also, passing the eighth principle is not an end in of itself. If we adopt this principle today, it is placing a stake in the ground and allowing our community to be claimed by the commitments and to proclaim them with our programs and with how we worship, learn, welcome, care, advocate, and everything we do. This year, our spiritual theme has been about a revolution of love. That's what the eighth principle is ultimately inviting us towards. In 1966, Dr. King spoke to a UUA General Assembly, warning people not to sleep through the revolution that was happening then. Many UUs joined him and helped change our faith and our country for the better. But the scourge of racism and supremacy is long-haul work. In some ways, we were lulled back to sleep, overestimating the gains that had been made as systems like mass incarceration disenfranchised millions. Once again, dismantling racism is the revolution of love for our time. Let us say yes to a principle that will remind us not to go back to sleep, but rather to make liberation our spiritual project for the generations. Amen, and may it be so.
Siya bukan yen kwenkos, siya bukan yen kwenkos, siya bukan yen kwenkos, siya bukan yen kwenkos, siya siya bukan yen kwenkos, siya bukan yen kwenkos. We are marching in the light of God. 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 We are marching, we are marching, we are marching in the light of God. We are marching, we are marching, we are marching in the light of God. Caminando en la luz de Dios, 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 caminando, vamos caminando en la luz de Dios, caminando, vamos caminando en la luz de Dios. Siya bukan yen kwenkos, 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 siya bukan yen kwenkos.
And now, in our going, may the light of love bless us and keep us. May it shine down upon us and radiate out from within us. May it be gracious unto us and grow our commitments to liberation. For this is the day and the life that we are given. So let us plant seeds of hope and healing, joy and justice in it.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Woyaya, 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 woyaya.